It occurred every night at 7:03 p.m. Alan's phone rang, but when he would answer, there was no one on the other end. The other line would be silent, and the phone call would disconnect after exactly 6 seconds without fail. At first, he shrugged it off as a wrong number. A lot of people dial the wrong number and hang up instead of apologizing for the inconvenience. After a couple of days, Alan figured that it was spam. He reminded himself to be extra careful about where he entered his phone number online. After about a week of the phone calls, Alan started feeling uneasy. The calls started to appear in his dreams. When his phone rang at other times, he would fear that he would answer to hear the same silence that he heard every day at 7:03 p.m. The oddest part of the phone calls was that they always came from a different number. The number always had a different area code, too. Was only one person calling him, or was it multiple people? Was that person or people trying to hide their phone number for some reason? Alan did everything that he could to forget about the calls. He had to focus on his new job. Alan just turned 28 years old, and he recently finished his master's degree in computer science. He worked at a small startup company as the IT guy before this new job. It gave him plenty of experience that he didn't want, including an unreasonable boss and low pay. For his birthday, Alan spruced up his resume and got himself a new job. The pay was better, and he worked in a great building in the Loop in Chicago. He sure felt professional taking the L from his one-bedroom apartment to his downtown job in his new suit with coffee in hand. Alan was an IT guy again, but this company was much different than his previous employer. He had his own office in a high-rise building with glass windows that had a great view of the city. However, most of his work took place in a huge room that housed the company's IT equipment. It wasn't dingy and dark like his old company's equipment room. In fact, it looked like a networking wizard's wet dream. Everything was clean, bright, and shiny. Plus, things were even labeled correctly. Hell, things were labeled. As excited as he was about his new job, he still got that phone call every day at 7:03 p.m. One day, Alan decided that he would try to look up the different numbers to see if they shared any common characteristics. He wrote down all of the numbers on a piece of paper, but he didn't see any patterns. Was he missing something? He continued to look at the numbers night after night, but never noticed any similarities or patterns. After doing this after work for almost a whole week, Alan decided that he really needed to get a girlfriend. He decided to look up some of the numbers online and see if he got any results. When he plugged the numbers into Google, a number of different sites claimed to be able to look up the number. Ultimately, the sites never generated a helpful response. All search results would result with NA or unknown. Even the paid sites weren't pulling anything up. Every single number he tried resulted in the same empty answers. One day the number was a local 312 area code. Out of all the numbers that had been calling, Alan was sure that none of them were local. When he answered, he knew that this phone call was going to be different than the rest, and he was right. This time there was a voice on the other end of the line. Clinton Blue Line Station, 1 hour. The voice was a soft, female voice. And Alan could admit to himself that excitement was something that he could use in his life. He arrived at the Clinton Blue Line stop about 15 minutes early. He didn't know the protocol for arriving early to secret meetings. Afraid that arriving early could be somehow dangerous, Alan walked around the block and took his time. By the time he got back to the train station, he was only a few minutes early. He didn't notice anything or anybody suspicious. Finally, at 8:03 p.m., he saw a pretty young woman walk up to the station with a panicked look on her face. "Michelle? Is that you? Where have you been? I haven't seen you in weeks."